Okay, hello everybody, welcome to tutorial number 3. Let's get started right away. I'm gonna try to keep this shorter than the last ones. First of all, I'm gonna show you a few things that I forgot in the last one. First one is that if you had this 3D view here looking like this, you can change this from clicking on the camera text here and going to 3D texture. Then you will get this view. A lot easier to work with this. Another one is how you can rotate items in Hammer. You can do this by, when you have the block selected, you click anywhere into it, you will see the circles appear, then you will know it's in the rotation mode. You can also hold shift while rotating, then it will go by steps like this. Another way to rotate them is hitting Ctrl M on your keyboard. You will see this menu pop up. You can rotate it on different axes by different amounts, like this. Okay, then the last one was the textual lock button. I don't know if this is enabled by default or not, but if it's not, I'll show you what happens. You see it kind of continues the texture from this block to this one, instead of just copying the same thing, so that's really not useful. So if you go and click on this, the textual lock button, it will turn to lock all, and now if I copy it again, you will see that the textures stay the same. A lot more useful like that. So now we can actually build a small map where I'm gonna put all the things I promised to do last time. Oh, first of all, I'm gonna make this null. Remember to add this to every surface the players can't see to optimize your map. I'm gonna use some simple texture for the top, like that, yeah. Then just shift and drag. I'm gonna make a floor here, like that. There's a good floor texture for me. Something to these sides like this. Then I'm just gonna copy this block again to the other side. And first we're gonna make the ladders, for example. First I'm gonna make a block that's 64 by 64. You can see it here, how big the block is. With the texture application tool, I'm gonna just copy these textures to the sides and make it a little bit higher because it will be a ladder, like that. Now basically you can make a ladder out of almost anything you want, but there are textures designed for it, so I'm gonna use them now. I've noticed that about 4 units thick blocks usually work well with these ladder textures. So then you go to browse and just write ladder here, and you should be able to find these ladder textures. Then I'm just gonna select the top, click fit, change the Y scale, or maybe put 2, or nah, I would mind. That looks just too stupid. Then I'm gonna uplit to the sides to make it look a bit better, and to the top too, like that. Now we're gonna tie it to an entity. You're gonna select the block and hit Ctrl T on your keyboard. And you want to tie this to func wall. And you're gonna go to render mode, check solid no light, then render FX amount to 1. What this will do is that it will make all the blue parts on the ladder invisible and keep all the other parts. That's why you have to change the render mode on it. Then I'm gonna shift and drag and copy one more onto top of it, like that, or next to it. And this you're gonna have to use the AAA trigger texture, like that. Go to edit properties and then change the entity to func ladder. And there you have it, your first ladder. I'm just gonna shift and drag and copy this here so you can get across this gap. There. Then we could make a long jump block maybe. Now this is one of those cases when you will need to go to smaller grids to get what you want. I'm gonna do a 220 block for example. As you can see below here, that's where you have to decide which block you want to do. I'm gonna do a 220 units. Now that you will have to use blocks like this to measure the distance. There is no better method, or at least I don't know any better method to do this. So make a block in the between. That's the length of the jump you want to make. This is 220 units now. Then just remove it, and there you have your 220 units block. Now remember that every block that is higher than 64 units is a high jump, and that's a completely different thing. I can link to the description how a high jump is different from a long jump, but it's kind of difficult to explain. I'll just say that if it's higher than 64 units, I mean from the ground, if the jump is higher than 64 units, the player will slow down the closer he comes to the edge. That's why high jumps are a lot more difficult than long jumps. So keep the blocks below 71 units, so 64 is good with the 16 units grid. So 64 is still a long jump, so that's what we're gonna do now. Then change the grid back to the original size. Then we could make a surf block maybe. Now I don't exactly know what makes a good surf block. I don't know what the angle should be or things like that. I just make the block and then change the angle so that you can't walk on it, so you have to surf. I don't know what is the best angle to do this, but you're gonna do the surf shape to this with the vertex tool. Just drag the tops like this, merge the top verticals like that, and that looks surfable. You can't walk it, so that is fine by me. Okay, we have our surf block. Then I'm gonna make a smaller corner here. You should try to avoid really long open hallways, for example. That will be really bad for player frame rate, so try to avoid huge open areas or big corridors like this. Then we could make some bhops into this part here. I'm gonna copy this block again, no need to make new ones. Gonna make them 64 by 64 again. Like that. The side textures can be the same, but you should always change the top of a bhop block so that players know it's a bhop. It's really annoying when nothing says that it's a bhop, then you die for nothing on it. So I'm gonna select something that would maybe tell a bit. Don't just select something different, like that maybe. Check that the bottom is null before you start copying it anywhere. Now you're gonna have to tie it to an entity again. Bhops are made with func door. I'm not sure if there are better methods to do this, but this is how I have done all of my bhops, and they seem to work fine. You shouldn't change the speed unless you absolutely have to. If you change this, the player will it will feel like he gets stuck, and it will fuck up his bhopping. So try to keep the speed at 100 at all times. This speed means how fast the block will go down and how fast it will come back up. And this delay before close tells how long the block stays down before it comes up. It's in seconds, so 1 second is fine. And lip means how far down the block will go. Now if I leave this at 0, it will go like this. Sorry for the small break. So if I leave it like this, when the player hits it, it will go down and stay 1 second in this position. Now as you can see, this doesn't really look good because the textures are on the same level, so it will kind of fuck up the way it looks. That looks really bad, so that's why you want to go to the lib and put -1 here. Now what this means is that the block will now go 1 unit below the ground and go away from side, so it looks a lot better then. So lib -1, delay before close 1 second, and speed 100. Then you can close that, the block back up. Now you should always go check that the yaw is still down, so that sometimes when you select this and click to another tab, then come back to this, it won't save it, so you should always check that the settings are fine. Now just shift and drag again, like this maybe. Yep, then I'm gonna copy this block, put some textures on the side, and null out everything again that's not visible. Copy the floor, and now we're gonna make some water into this last part. Now remember that entities cannot act like walls. They will cause leaks if you put an entity next to nothing. For example, if I didn't have this floor here and I would just add water here, it would cause a leak because it has entities cannot seal up maps, so every wall must be solid like this, or it has to be a skybox or something. I don't know if you understood anything what I just said, but said it anyway. So gonna choose some water texture for this. That looks good. Put it on. It doesn't really matter what scale the water texture is, it doesn't optimize it anyway, but I think 3 or 4 usually looks the best, so I use them. Now it has a water texture, but it's not actually water yet. You're gonna hit Ctrl T again to tie it to an entity. And now most people seem to do water with func water. Now this is the absolute worst method to do this because it's really demanding on player computers and stuff. This is why water is known as a lag causer. So unless you really need to have like waves or shit, I really recommend you use func illusionary instead. Just take the contents to water and render mode to texture some light. Now usually 100 is pretty good for water, but I like really transparent water, so I'm gonna use 80. The smaller the number, the more transparent the water is. So texture some light, FX amount to 80, and contents water. There we have our shit shed up. Then we're gonna add some walls into this. I'm gonna build them with the null texture so I don't have to go around them to null them later on. Make sure that it touches the floor and is high enough so the players can move around free. Now what I mean, make sure that it touches the floor, I meant this. As you can see, no leaks here. It seals everything up. Then I'm just gonna shift and drag and place the rest of these. Shift and drag, shift and drag. Then I will just have to seal the ends and place some texture on the walls. If you remember, you can't leave the walls like this. It will not work. Or it will work, but it will look really weird. Now we have the walls set up like that, then I'm just gonna put some texture on them. Something simple. That looks fine. Hit apply. As you can see, it doesn't really fit yet, so I'm gonna try maybe 3. Scale 3 is fine. Well, that's a bit big actually, maybe 2. No, it has to be 3. Then just with the texture application tool, Alt and right mouse click. Like that. We have our wall. So now we're gonna put skybox as the top. Just search for sky in the texture window. Go to the block tool and make a roof out of this texture. Like that. Then the other parts. And there we have our map all sealed up. You can check around that there are no leaks anywhere. Although the compile program will tell you if there are, but for now seems fine. Then we're gonna add a spawn point here. It's info player start. Well, that's a bit high. A little bit lower maybe. That's fine. Then I'm gonna, now that we are using a skybox, we can use for our lighting, we can use light environment. Now what this entity does, it basically simulates sunshine or moonlight or whatever you wanna put. It depends on what colors you choose for it, but it emits light from the skybox, so you don't need to add any lights to the outside areas if you put this bright enough. Let's go to edit and properties. If you remember, the first 3 colors are the color, first 3 numbers are the color, and the last one is the brightness. I'm gonna put some blue color in this maybe, like that, and reduce the brightness a little. And this tells in which angle the light will come in, so I'm gonna put in -45, so it will create some shadows in the map. Now this YAV always tells in this top view the direction where the block is going or where the light is coming from. Depends on the entity. Now that we're adding a light environment, this tells from which direction the light will come in. So as you can see, it's pointing down, so the light will come from this direction and go down. So if I put -35 to the pitch, the shadows will be right here now because the light is coming from there. So it should be fine. Okay, I think we are ready with this. I'm gonna save this as tutorial 3. Then go to export to map, tutorial 3.map. You can put that down, open batch compiler. So you can check that you have the WAT files here that we put last time, because these are the ones we used now. You go to the small browse button from here, select tutorial 3.map and hit on run. Should compile pretty quick, like this. No errors, I think. Yep. Then I'm gonna go to the output folder. Mine's in the Hammer 2 maps, tutorial 3. Gonna copy it to my own Counter-Strike folder. Like that. Open Counter-Strike and let's check the results. New game, tutorial 3. Let's see what it looks like. Not bad at all. I'm gonna bind my
Alright, let's move out.
training menu quick so I can get up. Okay, sorry for the small break. Ladders are working fine. Is this one too? Yeah. This should be a 220 block. My frame rate is so horrible, I don't know. Oh, I can just still jump it. Yeah. The stats don't appear now because it's lagging so much, but here we have our surf block. You can't walk on it, that's enough for me. Here we have our VHOPs, let's see if they work. Yeah, and as you can see they stay down for 1 second and they go inside the ground 1 unit, so you can't see them when they go down. Looks a lot better. And here we have our water. Looks like water to me, so that's fine for me. It acts the same way as the funk water, just you cannot add any waves or shit, but this is a lot better for player frame rate, so I recommend you use this. Now, as you can see, we didn't change the skybox, so currently it's using the default one. Doesn't really matter on this map because it's such a simple thing, but you really should take time choosing the skybox. I will show you how to change the skybox to something different in the next tutorial, I think, yeah. And here, as you can see, the light is coming from there, so you can see the wall makes the shadow right here. Because the pitch is now 45 degrees, so the shadow comes from there. Okay, thank you for watching and hope this was helpful. See ya.